everyone, and welcome to our next episode of the Look Finance SEQFC Review Show with thanks to Vilic Law Compensation Lawyers. I've got Callum Aitken with me tonight, and Callum, we're all kitted out for the evening.
We are. It's good to see. Got the polos on, repping, not wearing anything apart from Gorilla this time. Shout out.
And I've got Little Set behind me as well. So it's with thanks to all of our sponsors. We really do appreciate their support. It helps make things look a little bit more professional, doesn't it? And it's nice to get in your shirt in the water.
Yeah, it's nice. Very good quality.
Good. All right. So let's run through the weekend's events because we had heaps of games on the weekend as opposed to recent weeks where
it's a good change.
It hasn't been. Yeah, it's a great change, isn't it? So, Callum, let's actually, before we get to that, I've just got a little bit of housekeeping that I need to run through. Now, I mentioned last week the Look Finance grant with thanks to Vilic Law Compensation Lawyers. So this is an opportunity for anyone out there that's struggling financially with getting into the game. You'll see at the top of the SEQFC Facebook page, all the details there of the Look Finance grant. Now, we've only had one submission so far. So get cracking. If you know anyone out there who needs just a little bit of help to get things up and running, could be some boots, could be paying those rego fees, whatever you need, get on the page, get your submission. At the moment, that one person that submitted is going to be able to take a limo to every game this season. So, yes, get into it. I'm sure you'll be able to, people out there in Clubland will be able to identify people that would be worthy recipients of the grant. And secondly, on the page, I sometimes request photos because, as you all know, photos are a great part of our page. I've had some people send some through that weren't theirs. And when I receive it, I assume that they're the ones that have taken the photo. So if you're sending someone else's photo, you need to let me know so that I can credit them with the with taking the shots. It's just the right thing to do, really. And a gentle reminder, we've got the photo of the year competition coming up later this year. Might spread something out about that pretty soon. Anyway, let's get to the football. Callum, sure. Let's start with the FFA Cup second round. You've got all the scores there. Let's go to the Gorilla Sports scoreboard. Let us know. What were the results?
Okay, so we'll start with Annalee lost 2-0 to Ipswich City. An interesting one, Pine Hills beat Mount Gravatt 3-0. So Pine Hills struggled in Cap 1 last year and got relegated to Cap 2, but it looks like their form has bounced back. Bayside, who signed Warren Moon this week, beat Albany Creek 1-0. I'll go to Sunshine Coast as well. So Coomera beat Noosa Lions 3-2. Virginia beat Rockville Rovers 3-1. Gympie United beat Tullabudgera 6-0. Western Spirit and Barton Latrobe had a 5-5 draw. Was that must have been after penalties, I think. I can't see who won there.
Barton Latrobe went down on penalties.
Okay, cool. Grange Thistle beat Centenary Stormers 1-0. Budrum Wanderers beat Parkridge 2-0. AC Carina beat Moggle 2-0. Logan Metro beat Brisbane Athletic 3-2. Nambour Yandina beat Brisbane Knights 6-5. North Brisbane beat Bethania Rams 4-3. Woombye beat Springfield United 6-2. Musgrave beat Bribey 12-0. North Star beat Acacia Ridge 3-1. UQ beat Clairvaux 3-2. There's a few games here that look like they didn't happen, or at least haven't had the results submitted yet. Oxley United beat USQ 6-0. Surfers Paradise Apollo beat Ripley Valley 3-1. West Wanderers beat Tarragindi Tigers 2-1. And in the last game we've got here, BGs beat North Lakes Mustangs 4-0. So most of those results were fairly expected, but a few little upsets scattered through there.
Yeah, just that BGs one at the end. It's always interesting when the Sunshine Coast and the Gold Coast and the Toowoomba clubs get up over the Brisbane rivals. So great to see. And it's the magic of the Cup, which is what keeps us interested in it every year. But one that I sort of picked out there was, and I've momentarily forgotten it as well. It was the one of the Sunshine Coast teams having a really good win. Oh, the Springfield United side going down. That was to Woombye, wasn't it?
1 second.
Pretty sure it was Springfield
There's a
United
lot
going
of
down
games
to
on here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's a massive
Yeah.
win for
So
them.
yeah, 6-2. So a massive win there. I
A
think the
big
Sunny Coast
score.
Premier League is pretty good though. They've competed pretty well recently. Like Noosa Lions have done really well against Brisbane Premier League sides, and BG's are another one that have always been strong. So it's a big win, but it doesn't surprise me a huge amount.
And having said that, Noosa Lions lost their cup game, so crazy stuff. So the third round draw has been done for that already. We'll run through that probably in the next couple of weeks or so.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the NPL. Callum, what were the results there? Let's have a look at the Gorilla Sports scoreboard.
So in a really interesting match, Gold Coast Knights beat Olympic 3-1. This round really started to pit some teams who I would say are going to finish in the same part of the table against each other. So it gives us a lot better idea of what's going to pan out throughout the season. So Gold Coast looked really strong against Olympic. I watched a good amount of that game, and Olympic, who have traditionally been a very strong side and were replicating that against Gold Coast and to an extent Easts, they looked really poor against Knights. Like, they just shut down the whole game. So Gold Coast Knights definitely look like a title contender. Brisbane City beat Strikers 2-1. Now, I watched mainly the first half of this game, and from what I saw, Strikers seemed to be dominating a bit. So interesting result to see City come up on top there. But again, two teams that I would say are probably going to be mid-table or competing for finals. Another interesting one, Moreton Bay drawing 2-2 with Magpies Crusaders. So the Magpies get their first point of the season. Moreton Bay came out 4-2 over Sunny Coast last week. So again, it just puts a bit of the table in perspective, but it looks like Moreton Bay are going to struggle a little bit this season if they're drawing against Magpies at home. Redlands, again, lost 3-0 to Capalaba, so they're looking particularly poor, like they're going to struggle this season. Capalaba get a much-needed 3 points in what...
Yeah,
because they lost 8-0 against Lions as well, so 11 goals in a few days is not great in a NPL competition. East and Gold Coast was a really good game. East wing, number 7, I forget what his name is, but he was completely tearing it up down that left wing. But Gold Coast came up 2-1 in the end. Lions beat Brisbane Royal Youth 3-0 in a fairly comfortable result. And Peninsula Power beat Sunny Coast Wanderers 3-1, which was closer than some might have anticipated.
Still early days in the competition. We know
Absolutely.
that all the teams have had mixed pre-seasons, and as Bayside United have shown that there still can be a little bit of movement in between. One thing you didn't mention before, as well as Warren Moon going to Bayside, they picked up Graham Fife as well from Roachdale.
Yeah.
So amazing. Must be a big budget out there at Bayside, but we'll come to them in the next week or two. So, yes, stay tuned on that one. All right, now let's have a look at the NPLW. So just running through those results, Moreton Bay United had a 14-0 loss to Logan Lightning. Ouch. Said about that, the better. East and Gold Coast United played the match of the weekend. That was a 2-2 draw, a fascinating game where Gold Coast got out to a 2-0 lead nice and early and then got pegged back. So interesting. Another interesting result, Raw QAS 1, Capalaba 2. Capalaba we expect to be one of the strongest teams in the competition, and they've only just got over the line against the Raw QAS. So very interesting to see what happens with the Raw. They're always a mixed bag with that team.
Maybe some good talent in that youth team.
Yeah. And sometimes it just takes another year older, because I'm sure that a lot of that squad would be the same from last year. So maybe they've had a little chance to get a little bit more maturity in their legs and maybe put it together this year and make a charge. Mitchelton had a 4-0 win over Western Pride. And the crazy score of the weekend, if you pick this score, then you'll have won a lot of money with the bookies. Southwest Queensland Thunder 3, the Gap 7. A lot of goals. Would have been pretty entertaining up there at Clive Berghofer. And the South United and Lions game on Sunday got postponed. So not quite sure what the reason is there. I understand it has been rescheduled for tomorrow night. So keep an eye on social media for that one. All right. So that was round 1. We'll just leave the NPLW for there. Not too much more to talk through out of that. Let's go to the FQPL, Callum. You've got the results there. Let's go to the Gorilla Sports. The Gorilla Sports scoreboard. Got all season to get that
Back
right.
again.
We'll see how we go. All right.
Okay, so Southside Eagles beat Wolves 3-1. So again, a lower table match from last season. We'll see how that turns out across the season. Logan beat Holland Park 3-1, which was potentially a little bit tighter than some expected. I believe that Holland Park were up at some point in that game, or at least drawing, because I remember checking that earlier in the day and being a bit shocked at the result. But looks like Logan came out there. Ipswich Knights came out over Souths United 4-2 up, which is probably the closest game of the round, just in terms of what you kind of expect. Ipswich should be challenging for the title this season, or at least in that finals mix, you'd hope, and wanting to get promoted, so that's a good result for them to start off the season. Southwest Queensland lost 3-1 to Rochdale, and I know at some point Southwest were winning that game, but Rochdale came back to take out 3 points and probably shake off a few nerves of the preseason. And then Pride beat Sunny Coast Fire 2-1 as well. So some good results around the board. Nothing that stands out as completely shocking, but a good start to the QPL.
Excellent. Yeah, good to see all the 3 Football Queensland competitions up and running, and the FFA Cup as well. So that's a lot of scores to run through. And when the Football Brisbane and Sunshine Coast and Gold Coast competitions kick off,
It'll be jam-packed.
Yes, we certainly will. All right, so that's all the results of the week. Callum, you're with the Lakes Club. Have they been playing any pre-season games at the moment?
They've played a few pre-season games against BPL clubs and have been getting a few wins. So I'd expect them to do pretty well in Cap 1 this season, and just kind of stay tuned for that. But I'm expecting a pretty good performance.
Yes, they did amazingly well as a club last season, didn't they? So interesting to see if they can pick up where they left off last year.
Yeah,
fantastic.
2 seasons in a row.
Good stuff. All right, Callum, let's leave it there for tonight, shall we? I think we wrapped it on heaps in previous weeks. Let's just leave it there at the results. So we'll mention that the Guerrilla Sports previews will be coming up in the next week or two. I'll try and track down as many coaches as I can, get them in for some conversations, and we'll get some previews for your competition. So I know people have been asking me already, when are you going to talk about this comp? When are you going to talk about this comp? So we'll get them knocked over in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. All right, Callum Aiken, thank you very much for your company this evening.
Beautiful. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now, just before we go, you've got a spreadsheet where you're keeping all the results, yeah?
Yep. Do you want me to post it on the SEQ page again, just so it's there for everyone fresh? Yeah.
Get the link there so that everyone can check it out. If it's not only Queensland, is it? Is it Australia-wide?
No, it's not Queensland. Yep, so it's got everywhere except for Northern Territory, and it's got down to pretty much the 3rd or 4th tier in some of the bigger states. So it's got a lot in there to unpack.
Fantastic. And how long does that take you to put together every week?
It's just kind of going through after every game finishes. As long as I get onto it as soon as the results are coming in, it's fairly simple.
Fantastic. Good stuff. Thank you, Callum. We'll see you in, if not next week, the week after. Brilliant. All right. I'm Darren Layton. Thank you very much for tuning in this evening, and we'll see you on the Facebook page. Good evening.